Mister, we got to record right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, we always miss gold. We always press record like 10 minutes into us talking, and then we miss all the funny stuff when we record all this stupid shit about music.
Well, I just wanted to know how you're carving that fucking foam, dude.
Dude, I'm noshing on the gnar out here. You don't even know.
Have you gone surfing at all since you've been there?
No.
No, I mean, surfboards are really expensive.
Dude, I got one given to me when I moved here.
What?
Yeah. And no, I haven't gone. Mostly because my apartment's so small, I literally can't put it anywhere. So it's at my friend's house. And you need to buy a wetsuit. And I'm...
You don't gotta buy a wetsuit.
Well, if the water's 60 degrees and you're fucking, you get sucked under by the drift tide or whatever they call it. I don't know the terms.
That's what that baby blubber is for, man.
I lost it all, brother. I ain't got no blubber, brother.
That's you hate to hear that from your friends.
I know.
They lost their blubber.
I'm blubberless. I'm rudderless.
Dude, I'll tell you, like, I kind of wish I had a crazy metabolism where I could just, like, lose all my weight when it gets hot and I could just gain it all back when it gets cold.
That would be nice, like a polar bear?
Yeah, like a polar, like I just eat and eat and eat and go into hibernation for the entirety of winter. And then I come out and I'm just, like, toned as a bone.
Man, I have the weird body type that it's like really, really easy for me to gain weight, and it's almost just as easy to lose weight. And it's a double-edged sword, man. Because if I go off the rails for like a week, I'll gain 5 pounds easily if I just like eat however the fuck I want to. But then I eat really well for the next 2 weeks, and I lose those 5 pounds. It's
You got high risk, high reward over there.
Yeah, it's like I'll have heart disease, and then the next day I'll be like, your heart is like that of a champion horse. I saw the BoJack Horseman poster behind you.
Yeah. I'm recording in my roommate's room. The other roommate, big BoJack Horseman fan, big My Chem.
Big wolf fan, apparently.
Big wolf fan.
He's
yes,
really into wolves.
The wall is plastered with wolves, wolf tails, wolf shirts all over the place.
Now, is this your friend who also does the furry artwork?
Yes, it is at Lesbian Wolf 666 on Twitter, who does the artwork and has a Patreon.
Lesbian Wolf is. I want that to be a band right now. Can y'all make a band together?
Hey, I mean, we've been working on it, man. We'll get it out as soon as we can.
Y'all have been working on it, right? Didn't you guys want to start a band?
Yeah, we got about 4 or 5 songs, and like Lily just wasn't really feeling it,
Does she sing?
Yeah. It was the singer, and it was just like the things that she had wrote about were like far too raw to kind of deal with because it had just happened while we were recording.
Yeah.
So it was like actually like emotionally, like mentally harming. So we put a stop to it.
Fuck, dude. It sucks because other than my singer-songwriter stuff, which I get really personal with that shit because I feel like it's just the place for it. But we've, throughout this podcast and all these albums that we've been listening to, like, you do hear these, like, assuming that the singer is the one writing the lyrics, you're just like, man, they're really putting their shit out there for the world to hear, like some crazy stuff that you went through, like the Kitty album that, like, mentioned, like, this pedophile guy that she dated, and then
I listened to y'all's when y'all listened to Korn, and those had some pretty personal lyrics,
really heavy shit, and I've never, it's a regret that I'll have for probably the rest of my life that I didn't get more personal with the lyrics in Mortalis. There was a bit of I felt like a bit of a disconnection in terms of, like, I felt safe singing these lyrics because they didn't necessarily pertain to me personally.
Right. And I mean, when it's not as personal, you can get a little more abstract with it, like you did.
Right.
Right. And
where I
so
know
it
what
gives
I'm
you a
talking
little more
about.
freedom.
Yeah. I know what it's to me, I know what it means, you know, and sometimes it is very personal, but I would write in a very abstract way, to where I didn't feel like I was exposing or like putting myself in being too vulnerable,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But goddamn.
You know, I've been trying to do the opposite. I've never written any music that wasn't like extremely personal and
Really?
vulnerable.
Really?
And so luckily no one's listened to it, so I don't have to worry too much about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm glad I haven't heard any of it.
And so
It's not
I'm
what
trying
I'm
to
here
get
for.
a little. Well, it was when I was first starting. Like for a lot of stuff for burn ban and all that, I would hide behind big words that no one really knew.
You had
You know?
thesaurus.com pulled up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I would just these really abstract concepts and stuff and things, but hidden behind like 3 metaphors or whatever, just so that even if you do read the lyrics, like you couldn't really figure out what it's about. But to me, it meant something.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to get like more upfront about it.
More blatant with the words that you choose.
Yeah, a little more blatant and a little more and also I've wanted to write some songs that aren't about, you know, myself. But it's kind of tough. Like I don't really know what else to focus on.
I mean,
you know,
you can only write from your perspective, right?
Yeah. And I don't want to like write a story about the Viking that went to Valhalla and slayed the big dragon.
Oh,
You know?
man, what was the fake song we used to sing all the time at practice?
Does a druid space and time?
That's what I felt like I was writing in the band, was stuff like that. And I'm just like, it's all imagery and just symbolism and metaphors and all that stuff. I would say like in the bands that I've been in, the most personal I got was in the ska band in high school.
Sure.
Because punk bands and ska bands, they seem to write a lot about like personal experience stuff, but it's always like high school shit. Doesn't matter how old the singer of Real Big Fish is, he's still going to write about like falling in love at a party. You know?
Yeah, he's like, I went to go see Real Big Fish in Dallas. They're playing to this sold out big old venue that's completely packed, and they're like, life sucks, let's dance, we hate everything. And like, you're the most successful ska band of all time. Like, why don't you shut up for 3 seconds?
They really are like the most successful of that generation of ska bands.
I mean, I'd argue that they might
Be the most successful?
there aren't a lot of mainstream ska bands. Maybe the Interrupters at this point.
They are getting big, man.
Mighty Mighty Boss Tones,
Less
Real
Than
Big
Jake.
Fish, Less Than Jake. Yeah,
They got pretty big.
They got pretty big. I wouldn't say they were like so in the ska genre though.
They were very much punk with horns.
Yeah.
More than anything else. But yeah, man, I listened to some of that Real Big Fish stuff and it sounds so like sophomoric and immature. Like you listen to old Blink and you're just like, dude, y'all are 23 years old talking about like taking off your pants and jacking it. It's just this like this really immature humor of the whole thing.
Well, they're Blink 182's still writing about stuff like that. The last album they had was still about like all the stuff they used to been writing. It's because these people get famous off this, you know, theme that they write about, and they don't want to take a risk writing about something else and have it like not be a flop, I guess. Like I don't know how the industry works. Maybe it's the record producers that are telling them that they can't write about anything else.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like it I guess it's like I saw a really cool video about AFI the other day. Our guy Finn McKenty, my guy, I don't know if he's your guy, but he's my guy. And he did a really great history of AFI video that was like 25 minutes long and talked about how they started out as street punk, then became hardcore, they went into more of their goth stuff, and now they're doing like post-hardcore stuff. And it that AFI is such a great example of a band that can like constantly continue changing and still somehow feel sincere and like canon with the stuff that they do, even though they're constantly changing the type of music that they write. And I feel like, you know, my band in high school, my ska band, like I wrote songs about like leaving town for college and being scared. And right. I wrote songs about like, what's up with all this like punk rock gatekeeping? Why can't I wear whatever I want? Now I have to wear checkered shoes to like be considered punk rock. And like I legit had a song about that.
I mean, yeah.
And that was very personal to me at the time. Those were like frustrations I was dealing with at the time. So that's like the most personal I've gotten in something that wasn't acoustic guitar, you know?
Well, speaking of personal, maybe we ought to get to this album real quick. What's up, buds? Welcome to another episode of the Earbuds Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about very good albums as very good friends for a very good amount of time.
Good minutes,
good seconds, good hours.
Potentially.
Even.
This is a long fucking record.
Yeah, sure is. I am your one of your co-hosts, Brett Wolf Moon Hannerhan. Joining with me as always is Lucas Dog Son Indrakovs.
We're related, but somehow different.
Yeah, unless you want to take like Cougar Son or like Tiger Son.
Call me Bear Eclipse.
Bear Eclipse Indrakovs.
That's my porn name.
We are the odd couple of podcasts, and in the same breath, I'd like to say that we are the pod couple of oddcasts.
Let's just own it.
Let's just own it. It's two sides of the same coin, but you know what? At the end, it's the same coin. So we might as well flip the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
It's different, but somehow related.
Today, we got with us a very taxing album, I'd say.
Dude, that is... So, a little backstory. I asked you if we could pick a metal album for the next episode. Mm-hmm. Unprecedented. We've never requested such a thing from each other. We allow each other to have the creativity to pick whatever album we want. But I really wanted to talk metal music, and I feel like you picked this as a giant fuck you to me. As like, okay, you want to listen to metal? Take that, motherfucker.
That's exactly what I did. You're right.
Yeah. And I felt it on that last line of the last song of this record where they legit have a clip of Ice Cube saying, "Take that, motherfuckers." And I was
Take
like,
that, motherfucker.
That's how I felt. You suggesting this record.
I mean, it's just because I don't listen to a lot of metal. I was kind of choosing between like maybe an early Metallica album or a System of a Down album. And then I remembered that I've been listening to a lot of Slipknot lately. Their like first two records.
You have?
This is perfect. If he wants metal, well, damn it, I'm gonna give him metal.
Dude, this is we're talking about Slipknot's self-titled record. Their first album came out in 1999, I believe.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
To say that this record is chaotic is a pretty big understatement.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's 9 dudes in a band. Is that right? I always get the number mixed up.
I think it's 8 or 9. Yeah.
It's somewhere around 8 or 9. They got 2 percussionists, a DJ, like 3 guitarists, you know.
Yeah, 2 guitars and a bassist. Yeah, then they have... Oh, man. Okay, so let's count it out. So they have a drummer, 2 percussionists, a DJ, 2 guitarists, a singer, and a bassist. I think it's 8 people. I'm pretty sure the DJ does all the sampling stuff also.
Yeah, I think he finds all the samples. I'm just going to like 4, 8, 9. I'm counting 9 on the album cover.
Okay, so we're missing someone.
We're missing someone. Someone's just kind of hidden in the back. I don't know.
The unnamed. Maybe it's just the guy who hits the fucking beer keg.
Man.
Every 3 tracks.
Man, I've been my roommate, whose room I'm using, has been very much into Slipknot for like the last couple months, so I've gotten a lot of secondhand experience with Slipknot. I've watched a couple of their live shows and
Dude.
seen what they're up to. It's, first of all, it's insane. Second off, I couldn't imagine a funner job than being one of the percussionists for this band.
Yes.
Because all they do is just go crazy and rarely hit their instruments the entire show.
And it almost looks like they're there to fuck with all the other guys while they're playing. Like, I saw footage, and I don't know if it was real or not, but I saw footage of, I'm pretty sure, the Clown and Corey, the singer Corey Taylor, getting to like a fist fight on stage.
Really?
Yeah. That the Clown did
wow.
something to piss him off. Someone, like, and they're just legit rolling on the stage, just punching the shit out of each other. But then again, like, you listen to this music, you see their live shows and how chaotic it all is anyway. It's just like, who knows if that was part of the show? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they were just like, hey, man, in the middle of Spit It Out, come and punch me on the side of the head and we're going to act like we got in a fight. You know? Or let's actually fucking hit each other. Like, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
There's 9 dudes in the band, so chances are, like, one of them's just going to be psychotic enough to just do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. There's 9 guys in this band, and it sounds like there's 9 guys in this band.
Yes.
Holy shit.
If you're a fan of Slipknot, you kind of know what we're saying when we talk about, like, this first album, maybe even the second one.
I would say even more the second one. I would say Iowa is even more chaotic than this one.
Oh yeah, it's even more hardcore and crazy and intense, and even harder of an album to get through in one listen.
Definitely.
But if you kind of know them from afar, from like their hits and stuff, their first 2 albums were basically when they had nothing to lose,
dude,
and they just went absolutely crazy with it, absolutely insane. They were not trying to write hits or be well produced.
Yeah, I think they just happened to have some hits in there, like Wait and Bleed and Spit It Out off of this record. And I gotta say it's because of Corey.
I mean, yeah, Corey Taylor is actually a fantastic vocalist, much less cool person.
Yeah, what, you've heard some things about him that you don't like?
Oh man, he's just like, he has this thing called CMFT, where that's like his solo work. It's Corey motherfucking Taylor.
Oh,
right. And so he has a song called like Corey motherfucking Taylor Must Be Stopped, and it's about like how cool he is or whatever. And
oh no,
he's just a tool, man. Honestly,
that's a shame. I've seen interviews with him, and he seems like a smart guy.
He's also he's done various videos with the Nostalgia Critic. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. That's just kind of an interesting factoid.
Well, I read that he basically, Slipknot got signed after Corey joined. That they put out an EP or a couple demos, and you know, they probably got some attention for it because the musicians are incredible. Everyone around Corey is incredible, but I think Corey was that linchpin, that thing that kind of brought it all together, and he made them commercially viable.
Yeah, well, I mean, I assume that would be due to him. I mean, he has a fantastic like scream voice, but he also has a great like singing voice. Yeah, and he can go in interchangeably between those two things at the drop of a pin.
Yeah, and I want to say that Stone Sour, his other side project that got kind of big after Slipknot. Yeah, he was doing that before he joined Slipknot.
Yeah,
so he wasn't a screamer until these dudes were like, "Hey, want to do our thing?" And then he's just like, "Oh yeah, I have a unbelievably scary and powerful scream that I can use at any moment and do 3 different types of screams. It's not just like that one note screaming, you know, kind of like at all cost type of stuff." Like, Corey is an amazing vocalist.
Yeah, he's got a crazy range, and yeah, man, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's that, and it's with so many musicians, it must be. I feel like it would be really hard to like a too many chefs situation,
right?
So I don't know how they got it together, but they did. I don't know how you get 9 people together in one room let alone be in one band. But apparently they were like something of a super group from
Right.
the hardcore scene in where they grew up in Iowa.
Yeah, they have a lot of background in hardcore and death metal and like thrash.
Yeah, and that it makes sense.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because you hear it you hear it in this record for sure. I mean, anytime I listen to like especially death metal, I just can't help but think, because I don't have an ability to write a song like that. I don't know how you do. I don't know how you write a song like Sick or
I mean,
like Prosthetics. Yeah. You know, these riffs that are just like, they're not based in blues, I don't think. So the melodically, they don't have to make a lot of sense, even though they do a lot at some points in the songs. Like there is melody to the guitars. Like they are playing something you can scream to. But man, a lot of this stuff is just like, good thing Corey has such a great scream, because I don't know what kind of vocals you would write to this.
It almost seems like you got to kind of just make up your own thing.
Yeah.
And then hope it works.
Yeah, man. And it's like, it's crazy to hear Iowa compared to this one, because you can really hear the nu metal influence on this record compared to any of their other stuff that they've done since.
Right.
And rap metal. Corey raps on this album, like on multiple songs, and it's not good.
It's pretty lame.
It's not
when
good
he
rapping.
when he raps.
He said "Chrome to the Dome" in one song.
He tries to. I think he made a reference to fucking the dude from Public Enemy.
Yeah, he references Chuck D and LL Cool J.
Yeah, Chuck D. Ice-T, I think.
Yeah, well, Ice-T apparently came to their Spit It Out video shoot and just like hung out.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Ice-T there. But I mean, that's where the DJ comes in, right? Like he's the only thing that's keeping them in the nu metal genre at all at this point.
And this is about the only album he contributes on.
There's a lot of fucking squiggly wicky-woos and wobbly-doos and all this stuff on here, and I didn't like it, honestly.
Oh, dude, I love...
You love the DJ stuff?
I love the DJ stuff, man.
I love the sampling that he does. I love all the sounds and the freaky synths that he'll add to it and stuff like that, but I don't like his scritchy scratches.
How are you a nu metal fan and you don't like wicky-wickys? You know
I
what
never
I'm
liked
saying?
wicky-wickys. I never liked that.
Ugh,
I never liked
what
that.
A poser.
You know? But I mean, Limp Bizkit, they use their DJ like a DJ. And Slipknot, this music doesn't need any wicky-woos on it.
I think it needs far more wicky-woos.
You'd like more wicky-woos.
I'd like more wicky-woos. I'm disappointed that there are no wicky-woos after this album.
The wicky-woos completely take me out of it. And it makes me laugh because it's of the time. It feels so 1999.
Sure.
That you have this like...
Yeah.
And all this like crazy blast beat double bass stuff, and then... and it's like, dude, is this like the guy from Incubus just like moonlighting in Slipknot on the weekends?
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Man, it really does. Like, there are specific songs on here that sound like Limp Bizkit and Korn to me.
Really?
Yeah, like Prosthetics sounds like Limp Bizkit when he's singing in the verses. Like, he sounds like Fred. And Korn, same with Prosthetics, but specifically the bridge in Prosthetics and the bridge of Scissors, like, are both very Korn-esque, where it's like he kind of sounds like he's having like a manic breakdown type of singing.
Right, yeah.
You know, where it's like,
and,
like this at the end of every line. Just like sounds like he's about to fucking lose his mind.
And the bass on this album kind of has that like low-tuned, like you can hear the strings.
Yeah.
Kind of sound to it as well.
Like very Fieldy-esque, you know?
Yeah. Right.
But man, you know, as much nu metal as there is on this record, I hear all the things that we were just talking about. Like, I hear thrash and death metal and like industrial.
Yeah, and even the last song, Eeyore.
Yeah.
is like a punk kind of thing a little bit.
You can almost bob your head to it. Almost.
Speaking of which, did we listen to the same version of the album?
Dude, I was about to ask you that question because there's like 6 different track listings of this record.
Yeah, they had 2 songs that I think they got in legal trouble with the sampling, so they had to remove it. And so they replaced it.
Frail Limb Nursery and Purity. They had to take out.
And they replaced it with Me Inside. And so that's the version I listen to is the Me Inside version.
Yeah, me too.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. I was wondering that because as I'm sure you thought about it, were you going through Genius along with the lyrics? Yeah. And I looked, I was like, what is this? What are these 2 songs? And I started looking. I'm like, Me Inside is like number 17 on this one on Genius. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, and on Genius it shows like the entire track listing, like with remixes and bonus songs, and it's like 22 tracks or something.
Yeah, and I really want to hear the hyper version of Spit It Out. I didn't listen to it yet, but there's like a remix or a different version that's a hyper version. I want to hear that.
It's like, how could it be more hyper?
I know, right?
Than it is,
dude. Yeah, I saw that a lot of those tracks that like made it 22 tracks was because they there was like a digipack release, and like you remember when that was a thing back in the day where it's like, oh, you can only get that song on like the Japanese release of a record for some reason.
I mean, yeah, I think there were a couple albums that we've reviewed that's kind of happened on.
Oh, did I not? Is that true?
I mean, I'd have to look at the full list, but I do remember one album is like in Japan, it's like this track was released, and in the UK this track was released, but in America,
Yeah, I don't understand.
Why would you do that? If a song's like, just put the same songs on all the versions of the record. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand like singling out a specific audience to where it's just like, but none of y'all are going to hear this unless you pay 5 times what the album is worth to get the Japanese version.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a marketing ploy to get more money. I don't know if it's like a censorship type of thing. I haven't looked into it that much, but it could be anything.
Yeah, who knows?
To me at this point.
I bet you're right that it is a marketing thing, just creating exclusivity,
Yeah,
but the thing is too, it's just like at the end of the day, it's not making you any more money as a band because the only people that are going to be making money from an inflated cost of that album are the resellers. So
right,
the Rubik Fish isn't going to get like $50 extra for Everything Sucks because some dude in Mexico sold his version of it. Like, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me if it's a marketing thing. But does that even happen anymore? I feel like with streaming, that doesn't even happen anymore.
I mean, I don't know, man. I haven't like noticed it enough to even notice any of the trends or anything.
Man, I was curious because I just thought, I was like, man, I forgot about digipacks. I forgot about the, this one was only released in Germany. You're like, oh fuck, I want that one.
But there's kind of an interesting, I guess, version of that. It's not. It's like it's happened with a couple rap albums that someone will release an album and then they'll like add a song or change the track listing or even remaster it and then like release it again.
Yeah.
Right? That happened with Life of Pablo, right? You remember that whole thing.
Dude, it's funny because I feel like that happened again with Kanye with Donda.
I mean, if it hasn't already, I'm sure it will.
Well, apparently what did happen was that the label released the record and then he took it back. He like delivered it and then took it back. And so they kind of messed up and released that version of it for like a day or something and then took it down. And he was like, I'm not done yet. And, he's like, I have another 34 minutes I want to add to it.
Oh, my God. All right.
But, yeah, I just feel like that is the only occurrences I've heard of that happening is with Kanye, where a version gets released and then what becomes the final version but it's with all the leaking and stuff, like people, he's big enough that someone's going to want to leak that.
Right. Well, I have heard of I forgot who the artist was, but they released an album and it was like poorly mixed, so he just got someone else to mix it and master it, and then he released it again, like under the same, since it's mostly digital these days.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to do things.
Oh, so that was recent.
Yeah, it was like within the last 2 years, if I remember correctly.
Oh man, I wonder who that was.
Yeah, me too.
Well, damn, back to this record. Yeah, Purity and Frail Limb Nursery were not, those two songs were not on the version that we listened to. And
No.
yeah, it was some sort of copyright infringement issue with that it was based off of a story that they read online.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it was inspired by a story that was published online about a girl named Purity Knight who was kidnapped and buried alive. So it's a website called Crime Scene, and they basically it's almost like No Sleep on Reddit, where they present fictional stories as real life crime cases. So someone made up the story, and it's on Crime Scene, but being presented like it's real. So they say it's a work of fiction, but then Corey is convinced that it's real. And so the case is like there was audio samples from those two stories on the or from that story on the two tracks, and that's where they got in trouble, and they had to take it off the record. But it's weird how at first it wasn't an issue, and then it was.
Well, whatever.
But whatever. Anyway, yeah, man, it's like this is an exhausting. It's an exhausting record because even without those two songs, it's 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Of chaos.
Yeah, and I guess if you're into hardcore and you're into metal, it's fine. But as a person who does not, like, I'll listen to punk and stuff. Metal sometimes when I'm in the mood for it. But like this is crazy,
it's
man.
Insane.
And listening to an hour of this is just like it gave me a headache the first time I did it.
Damn.
Well, because it's just so much, and the drums are so loud on this record, especially
front and center.
That it's banging on your head the whole time. That 90% of Corey's vocals are screaming, and then there's percussive stuff that's happening every once in a while, and it's almost overwhelming.
Yeah, it's an avalanche of sound coming at you. I mean, Joey's drumming.
Oh yeah, forget about it, dude. If you're this good at drumming on your first album, I'm sure Joey did other stuff, but like this is insane.
Yeah, Joey's the one that has that thrash death metal background. He's one of the ones in the band that has that. So he was doing stuff. He's part of the supergroup aspect of Slipknot.
Right. Just the double kick work and how seamlessly he can do those drum fills and stuff, and how fast this music is.
Yeah. Does he play everything in triplets? It's insane.
No, he doesn't even do triplets. Like most of the time, it's just like
16th notes,
16th notes or 8th notes or something. It's silly. It's yikes,
silly.
I mean,
dude, it's blast beats for minutes at a time that he's doing.
Like in the first song, I think it's the first song in Sick, where they kind of have this little part where he's and then he does the double kick to
dude, insane.
Like, stuff like that the entire record. I don't know how you play a show in this band.
Dude, have you noticed, I was going to say, because I love Joey's playing, I love everything that he does on drums on this record. Any Slipknot song I've heard, he's the one I'm listening to most of the time. And his drumming is incredible, but it's flawed. Like, he's not perfect in his drumming, and that's part of why I love it.
I mean, I'm not sure they recorded to a metronome with this album.
I doubt it.
Which is because there are times when it obviously speeds up.
Yes.
And slows down.
Yeah. And I feel like that's Joey.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so, man, but it sounds fantastic. I love it.
It sounds awesome. It's like, it really does sound like someone who is out of control on the drums.
Yeah.
Like
he's a monster.
He sounds out of control, but he's playing really fucking well. So it's, you know that he's not out of control, but it's like there are moments, and it doesn't happen often on the album, but there were a few times, like you said, like you could tell it sped up. You can tell that like the tempo changed, and there's times where he's like, yeah, he's doing those crazy double bass things, and he kind of gets off a little bit. And especially, and I'm sure you've noticed on some of the live stuff, like he's just like he's sped up by 20%. Like he plays these songs 20% faster live.
I mean, all the songs are like sped up by 20%.
Yeah, and he definitely gets off when he does that. But there's something that I love about that. Like there's something that I love about the mistakes and
it just makes it more human.
Yes,
you know,
exactly. That's exactly it. And I feel like it almost like is a little charming, where you're just like, oh, a computer didn't write this. Like this is a guy playing this, and a guy is not perfect.
It brings a little humanity to this record that was made by absolute monsters.
Yeah, dude. But it kind of makes you realize how much almost all drums are like programmed now on music. You don't hear a lot of honest drum playing on music anymore, and I was wondering if you had any insight into like what programmed drums even are, because I don't fully understand it.
I mean, I'm sure genres like metal have been mostly untouched by things like that.
No, a lot of metal stuff that has been coming out in the last maybe even 10 years has been programmed drums.
Really?
Yeah. It's disappointing to hear, because then you think like, oh my god, these guys are so tight and so good, and then you realize that it was probably programmed.
I mean, I know a lot of metal people use triggers.
And you can hear that. I can clearly hear that when I'm listening to the music.
Yeah, I don't think he used it on this album.
No, not at all. I just mean when someone is using a trigger, I can hear it very clearly.
Right. Yeah, because it's all the same sound, and there's no like dynamic really to it.
Right. It almost sounds like I can hear a click. It's weird. It's like I can hear it, and I can tell it's not the way that they mic the kick, but like our programmed drums, like literally, like, so is the way it works, and I don't know if you know, but the way I understand it is the drummer plays his drums, they record all his parts, and then they take that, and the producer actually goes in and programs all the drums through like a MIDI drum program, and then he like recreates all of it on a drum machine or something.
I mean, you got me there. I really have no idea what all that's about. I thought people would just keep drumming the same as always.
No, man, it's something that I'm realizing, and I can hear it more on major label releases. That it's fucking becoming pretty obvious that like the drums are not being played by a human sometimes. It's kind of how you can, when you start being able to tell auto tuning. When you start being able to hear it in records, not like the T-Pain style, but just where they fixed a note, and you hear it and you're like, shit.
Like pitch correcting.
Pitch correcting, right. It takes away from it a little bit for me. Yeah. That's one thing that makes like the first big release by Avenged Sevenfold, even their first two, Waking the Fallen and City of Evil, like they have so many harmonies on those, and they made it a point to say in interviews that they didn't use any pitch correction or auto-tuning on it, and honestly, but I think it is you roll your eyes, but I think it's a little badge of honor a little bit because of how much it's utilized now.
Well, it's the bare minimum.
It's
that your musicians can do their parts.
Isn't that true? You would think, but how many people have to get tuned? How many people sound amazing on the album, and then you hear them live, and you're like Madonna.
Well,
she can't do what she does on the record. That's why it's impressive. Like when talking about Bright Light Social Hour and stuff, where you're just like, dude, and they did that live. Like that's
true.
Incredible. So I don't think it's expected anymore. But man, you hear Corey on this record, and he does this live. Joey plays this live. Like they are doing it. Like they are not a studio, artist. They're not a studio band.
No, yeah, they definitely they can definitely put out a live show, and there have been shows that I've seen Corey get a little tired. And he kind of gives a good amount of the vocals to the audience or to his bandmates. But even then, they're in full like jumpsuits and masks.
Right.
Which makes it even more unbelievable to me that Joey can play an hour-long show
with
doing
a mask.
this.
Dude, how uncomfortable has that got to be?
Oh God, I've had nightmares that I'm in a band where we have like a gimmick that we have to wear like long robes or something,
Right.
or hats, and it's like I just want to be able to play the music.
So you're thinking like Ghost and stuff.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it, but
Guar.
Oh Jesus. It's funny too. You say like he gave up some of the singing to like the crowd and everything. I feel like that's when you know a band has made it. When the singer's just like, oh, it's been 10 years of grinding. I am so tired. Like y'all know the words, and they're singing loud enough. It's just like, all right, cool. Y'all do it because like they're just exhausted.
Go for it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's man, talking about like the masks and everything. I remember Corey saying that really a long time ago in an interview that the mask that he wears actually kind of hurts. Like it like pulls.
Which one?
I think it was the original one that he wore
with the braids.
With the braids, and I think he said it would like pull on his hair and it would hurt really bad, and it would piss him off because it was so uncomfortable. And he said it helped his performance. And I'm like, dude, you're putting yourself
through that. That's suffering
that.
For your music, all right.
It's seriously, man. Like saying like these masks legitimately hurt, like, and it helps me just give a good performance. Like, but it is weird to see live footage of them where they're insane, and the music is insane, and then he goes, "What's up, Miami? It's been a while since we've been in the beautiful, beautiful city of Miami." And I'm just like, what?
Right.
Like, you're not gonna put on the act the whole time? Like you're just gonna like after the song's over, all right guys, how's everyone doing out there?
That was a great one.
Yeah, hey, thanks for playing along, guys. We only have 3 more, sorry. It's really weird. And I didn't expect that from their live show. I thought it was just gonna be 100 miles an hour for the entire show. And it was weird to hear him being like sincere and just like, what's up, guys?
Yeah. Especially since, I mean, the majority of these songs on this album center around like hatred and just spite and like hating the world and hating yourself.
Yeah, man.
So it's kind of weird to play songs like Surfacing where the chorus is like, fuck you all, fuck this world, fuck everything you stand for, and you play it to an audience.
Yeah, and everyone's
you're like,
yes.
But not you guys.
We love you guys.
Not you. No, we love you guys.
Yeah.
We're talking about all the other people.
We love the maggots.
That's what I've always thought about bands that sing songs like Green Day, like I Walk a Lonely Road, when he has like his other 2 friends playing in the band with him, and they're just like, okay.
Like, do we mean nothing?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you enough, Billy.
Well, that's yeah. I mean, it's. I feel like with Green Day, he does seem like he might be writing from a certain perspective, but it might not necessarily be his personal perspective. Even though like you find out, he like dealt with substance abuse and all that stuff, so he was going through some shit. But like you listen to Corey's lyrics, and it's. I mean, his voice is like, again, like really, even when he's screaming, like very sincere. He legitimately sounds fucking pissed.
Yeah.
He is honestly scary. He's scary to me.
Sure. Yeah.
And incredibly energetic. And, but his lyrics are like kind of vague and at the same time sound like they could be talking about one very specific person. Which could just be him, but it's like, if they're talking about me, if I found out one of these songs was about me, I'd be scared.
Yeah, you gotta like get out of town.
I'm gonna move out of Des Moines, which I would probably want to anyway.
I mean, yeah, just another reason to get out of there, I guess.
Yeah, I love one of their reviews said these guys clearly hate their fathers and hate where they live, or hate their city or something like that. I'm just like, well, I didn't get the dad hate, but I definitely got the like, man, fuck all this.
Well, I believe the song is Eyeless, where he like has that one line about his dad. That I really.
That was
like,
it. Yeah.
My father was a phantom and mystery, and that's left me with nothing.
Man, Eyeless is a great song.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't think there are any bad songs on this album, even though it is an extremely long album.
50 minutes is a long album in general, especially for a metal record.
But starting off with Sick and Eyeless, Wait and Bleed and Surfacing.
Dude. Fuck you all. Fuck this world.
Fuck this world. Fuck everything that you stand for.
Surfacing is such a badass song.
This is the first album to go to if you're just in a shit mood and you just want to be angry about it.
Reminds me of like People Equal Shit.
Yeah.
You know that Slipknot song?
No. Is that off?
That's off of Iowa.
What's that off? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, just the chorus is people equal shit, people equal shit. I'm like, oh my god!
In front of their audience of tens of thousands
of
again?
A bunch of people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, again, it's like his lyrics are vague. Most of the time, the lyrics are really intense and pretty cool. But there's a lot of like, there was a lot of lame lines on this record.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't know how experienced Corey was in writing lyrics before this. I know he had been in Stone Sour for a bit.
Right.
But it is kind of that vague metalhead gore
angry
minded, just angry, just it almost feels like and there's almost kind of like an endearingness to it just because it is so raw and off the cuff, and it seems like he got angry, wrote the lyrics, and went in the studio that day. Right, he didn't think about it too much.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine him recording the vocals too? Like, how do you record these vocals without being genuinely pissed off?
Exactly.
How do you get this? Yeah. How do you get this performance out of you without being genuinely mad? So maybe he was just really a really fucking angry dude at this time, you know?
Yeah.
It's it just sucks, man, because he is so good, and I hate when he raps.
I think the rapping is pretty bad, but it could be worse.
Yeah. That's not to say that it's not already bad.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I love Spit It Out, but I hate the rapping that he does. The times that he's rapping on Spit It Out. I mean, he says chrome straight to your dome.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, like he looked at like 3 rap songs and he just kind of got stuff from all that, and he was like, but I'll make it metal and nasty.
Yeah, and there's a difference between the way that he was trying to do it and the way that Fred Durst was doing it, where it honestly sounded like Fred Durst was like trying to be a good rapper. I think Corey is just like, this is what people are into right now, right?
Well, it almost seems like it was just so natural for Durst to do it that he didn't even have to think about it.
He has the voice for it.
But Corey, being a person who had not at the time been very experienced with rapping, I'm sure, kind of had to put on had to make a fake little rap persona for those parts.
Yeah, he was Corey motherfucking Taylor when he was rapping.
Corey motherfucking Taylor.
Yeah. No, and I think he seems to be a fan of hip hop from all the references that he makes to hip hop. I mean, they even have, you know, like we said, an Ice Cube sample at the very end of the record. He mentions Chuck D. He mentions LL Cool J.
Yeah, and they even they sample the Amen break.
Yeah, what's that from? What's that from?
It's just from an old song by it's like Amen Brother, I think it's what it's called or something.
Okay.
And it's one of most used samples of all time, especially in drum and bass, but it was I think it's used in rap a good amount, or at least it was in like the 80s or the 90s or something. I could be completely off about that.
No, I bet you're right. Man, samples is like such a random interest of mine. I love figuring out how like some of these like crate digger DJs like find this stuff. I think it's so cool. But yeah, they have like some cool movies that they chose to like sample from also. Like Carlito's Way.
From what?
Carlito's Way. It's like a Al Pacino like gangster movie that I love.
Yeah, here comes the pain.
Yeah. Falling Down, another great movie.
There's one of these songs that I read on Genius was based off The Collector or The Collection.
Creepy, yeah. Old horror movie from the 60s.
Yeah. It's like, man, I knew it was a mistake.
Dude, that is so creepy, those lines. And I love it.
It is very creepy. There's a very apparent horror vibe to this whole album,
right?
In general.
Totally.
I mean, especially like with the masks and stuff.
They get that horror thing across with like the DJ doing his sample stuff. Like, man, I have to find it in my notes. Oh, it's prosthetics where like the beginning sounds like a woman screaming, but it's a synthesizer. Right. Really creepy and cool. Like this sounds like the whole album sounds like a gritty, gross, gory like slasher movie. Like just grit. Like you think of like grindhouse stuff from the 70s that's just like dirty film grain and just guts and like they like they just I picture all of that in my head, and it's like it makes it another reason that if you're like really listening to this music and it's not just on, which I don't even understand how you can just have this on in the background while you're like reading your Bible verses or whatever, but if you're really paying attention to this music and you're like living in it, it is genuinely like kind of hard to listen to like emotionally.
I mean, I can imagine if you're just a chill person who's never had a day a snow cone couldn't fix, it'd be pretty tough.
I've never been a snow cone I didn't like.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, my buddy Lily had a time when it was listening to this album and like near exclusively during a very bad time.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, this isn't good.
Cause for concern.
I go over more often than usual. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, you're listening to subliminal verses now. Okay, good. No,
she does not like any other Slipknot stuff except like the first two albums. And honestly, it's really hard to. It's honestly kind of hard to listen to other Slipknot stuff after these first two albums, just because of how differently it's mixed and how much more it's produced, that it almost feels fake, which is weird.
Yeah, I mean, because I think by their third record, which is my favorite one by them, and I know that's not a lot of people's shared opinion, but I think it's because Rick Rubin hopped on that third record.
Right.
So
I mean, that's the one with Before I Forget,
Duality,
and Psychosocial and stuff, right?
I don't think Psychosocial's on that one. I know Duality is on it. They had the Vermilion. That one definitely had the catchiest Slipknot songs. But saying that, they had two big singles off this. This record went double platinum, their first album. So I mean, Wait and Bleed and Spit It Out. Oh yeah. And Wait and Bleed and Spit It Out were two huge, massive singles for them. But, I know that subliminal verses, by the time you get to that point, it is so produced. They lose the raw sound. This album is super raw sounding.
I mean, I remember we talked before about this album, you, me, and Brittany and Luis. And Brittany had gone to sound school like I had. And we were just talking about like the production of this album and how bad it is. And like, I recognize it's bad, but I honestly thought it's like perfect. It was perfect for what they were trying to do and the nastiness they were trying to display.
It's really gritty, and that's what adds to to me, it adds to the horror vibes. This feels like if Rob Zombie, you could put this in like The Devil's Rejects, and this would be a perfect soundtrack for like any Rob Zombie movie.
Right.
It just has that gritty, dirty, nasty, unnerving feel, and the rawness of the production adds a lot to that.
Oh yeah, I'm listening to Diluted right now, and that is you're getting it right on the nose.
Right. It's Diluted was cool though, man. Diluted was one of my choice nugs.
Really? Well, let's get into it.
It's time It is time. It is time for choice nugs. It is time. It is time. It is time for choice nugs. I love the chuggy verse and all the it really like the auxiliary percussion like stands out so much on the verses of Diluted.
Yeah. And man, I love when the percussion comes in on this album, and I'm sad that it doesn't really happen as much on other albums.
It's true, yeah. They kind of started doing different things later on.
Yeah, but things like Tattered and Torn and Prosthetics, I believe, kind of feature the percussion more.
Yeah.
And it's just a very cool, odd sound that you don't really hear anywhere else.
Yeah, man, it's one of the reasons why I love RX Bandits is because they tag on those extra toms that just really just give such a cool feeling. And Diluted has a lot of cool drum shit all over it.
Oh yeah,
like when the song kind of starts out like kind of chuggy, and then a 40 seconds in, Joey is going off.
He's just going around the set, just hitting every single drum he's got,
just making sure he's staying on beat with that kick. It's all he's really doing. And then he does that for 2 measures, and the next 2 measures of the verse are almost like he's doing like a dancey thing on the drums, like open hi-hat, kind of doing this like dancey rhythm. And dude, that chorus.
Oh yeah.
What did I do to deserve this? And they have that dude screaming in the background.
I will say this about Corey: his choruses seem to be like super something you can latch onto when you're in a specific mood.
Yeah.
Like this song "No Life" surfacing. It's just stuff you can just think in your head when someone pisses you off at the grocery store or whatever,
Yeah, like when you accidentally pay for someone else's gas at a gas station, like I recently did. And that was a whole thing. And man, I walked away like with $90 less in my pocket, and I barely got any gas for it. And I wish I had knew about Diluted at that time, so I could just be like, "What did I do to deserve all of this?
All of this,
dude!" And at what is it, minute 118? I think on this record, they have that
where
weird
they do
drum.
like the little whistle break.
Yeah, and those really weird, cool auxiliary drums, and they go right back into the second verse, which is like Joey going off again.
It almost has like a weird. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just the percussionist having a little break and in like a little whistle thing in the middle of this absolutely insane song.
Yeah, man, and it has like 3 different vibes, and it's so cool. Like the verses, it to me sounds like 2 different genres, and then you go to the chorus, and it's like this really hard hitting, great guitar riff. The drums are open. And just kind of like...
It seems like a nice break for Joey.
Yeah.
When he can just kind of do 4 on the floor and... Coo-ka, coo-ka, coo-ka.
So effective, though.
It's for sure.
Man, it was... Yeah, very Soulfly-esque. Very tribal sounding at times. I love that chorus riff. Like, that was an easy choice nug for me.
Well, all right. What's your second one, man?
Man, you know me. I'm a little curmudgy. I'm a mudgy man, and I knew and have loved Wait and Bleed and Spit It Out since it came out. This album came out when I was 12, and I loved Spit It Out. I heard it. That was the first one I heard by Slipknot, and it was on an MTV rock compilation album.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like the new generation of rock. So they had a bunch of bands that were like about to blow up on it, and that's how I got into nu metal. Was that record? It had Cold Chamber, Static X, Limp Bizkit, Korn,
all the big
boys, Slipknot, Head PE, some smaller boys. But so Spit It Out, always loved it. Wait and Bleed, always loved it. Despite how much these guys scared the shit out of me when I was 12 years old, and still to this day kind of scare the shit out of me. So I didn't want them to be what I was really looking for in this record, and I listened to this actually last year for an album review. I didn't remember any of it because this album just fucking pummels you, and it's hard to remember much if you're not taking notes.
It knocks you out.
It knocks you the fuck out, and but I wanted to go into this time around listening to it again and really trying to pay a lot more attention. Like, I wanted to find a B-side or a lesser-known song that I liked a lot by them, and Diluted was one. But that was an easy one for me. Like, I could say Diluted is right up there with Wait and Bleed and with Spit It Out. So I wanted to stay away from those two big singles because I already know I love those, and I wanted to find another one that I really loved. And the other one was Eyeless.
Eyeless.
The second real song on the record, because the first track is kind of like a weird intro.
The whole thing I think is sick.
The first real song is sick. The Eyeless is the second real song.
Yeah. Yeah. This song is crazy. This is the one with the amen break at the start.
Okay.
I love those hits. You know.
Oh, that's what the. Okay, I see that. Yeah, is that the fucking Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah, that's the Powerpuff Girls thing.
That's the one. That's the one you mentioned during the Pendulum episode we did.
Yes, I mean that's in a lot of drum and bass.
What's it called?
So you'll get very familiar with it.
What's it called?
It's the Amen break.
Oh, that's the Amen
beat. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. So it has that. Like.
Yeah.
Which is kind of ironic because I feel like Joey could have just played it.
I mean, yeah, but I really kind of like how it sounded.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was a little less produced, and then the real drums come in, and it adds such a massive hit. Right? Like with those toms and that snare, and the snare is just sounding so right this entire album.
So tight, so high and tight.
So high and tight, which is what they used to call me in college.
Old high and tight, hand or hand.
Old high and tight.
Oh, here comes old high and tight. Everyone put away your drugs. He's gonna narc on you.
The chorus to this one is fantastic.
Oh man, I love the you can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes. You can't see California. Yeah. Like, what does that mean?
You can't see California without Marlon Brando's eyes. It's on my head.
It's all in my head. And then that like diminished. It's all in my head. Oh, dude, it's
all in your head.
Weirdly catchy.
Yeah, and it's just another chaotic banger, man.
Yeah, and it's man, it's like. It's weirdly, like, he does the rappy stuff, but I like it on this one. He does the rappy verses a little bit, but it's not like it's like the best of it on the record.
Well, maybe he didn't think of it as a rap verse, and he just went about it like he normally would.
Yeah, he brought the energy that he would if he was screaming to to talking really fast and really aggressively. Dude, I think it's like about 2 minutes in, that dive guitar riff.
Yeah.
It is so awesome. I wish I wrote that, man.
Oh, and then near like the 3-minute mark, they have this little kind of breakdown, and then the double kick comes in.
Yeah.
And absolutely destroys it.
And that was the one that I was listening to, and I'm just like, he sounds like he's getting slightly off a little bit, but I love it.
I mean, it's raw, man.
Yeah, it's super
raw.
And
unfiltered.
And it's kind of, the drums aren't recorded the best on this record, but for the rawness, they could sound a lot worse, and they sound pretty fucking great. But they just don't sound, to quality that we're used to hearing now.
I think this record sounds exactly how it should.
Yeah.
I have no qualms at all with the quality or recording or whatever with this record.
Yeah, it's so raw, and I have like a love-hate relationship with that part of it.
Because you can't get your tone bone, really.
Exactly.
But
but I love the aesthetic and the vibe that it gives the whole record.
Right.
And production is just like so. It took me so long to realize like what it was that I didn't like about live records, and why there are some records that I'm like, I really want to like this, but I can't, like old Misfits. And but it's just, there's something. It feels right for this record, like you said. Like, it's so raw, and I love it, and I hate it at the same time. And I mean, Eyeless, like, you already have Corey, who has a crazy, manic, scary, honestly pissed off scream, and then they add distortion to it during Eyeless.
Right.
And it just like, it just brought it to that next level, man. I'm just like, dude, I am, in my head, unfortunately, someone is getting stabbed.
Well, look, if that's how it's got to be, that's how it's got to be.
That's how it's got to be, you know what I mean?
And that's how it's got to be.
But yeah, man, Eyeless. Whew, another choicey for me.
Eyeless and Diluted.
Yeah, Eyeless and Diluted. Those are my boys right there.
Whew. Well, let me introduce you to my boys and see if they get along.
Show me your boys.
My first nug on this record is Sick, which is the first actual track on the record, the second literal track.
The song is sick.
But I think it displays everything that Slipknot was in this era, with the DJ stuff and the percussion, Corey's vocals, Joey's insane drums,
all those auxiliary percussions.
Yeah, I think it's the best of what Slipknot was at the time, honestly.
Yeah.
And even the guitar with that,
yeah,
whatever that riff is.
Dude, I mean, this is like we've talked about on past records that we talked about, where it's like, what would be your song that you would say, like, this is a good introduction? And it's this song. This is Slipknot of this era.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think and they knew that, because it is the first song on this album.
Yeah, right. Man, that that awesome guitar riff that sounds like it shouldn't fit with this vibe, but it does. Dude,
exactly.
All this, Joey's insane. I can't get enough. I can't say it enough.
He's crazy. Rest in peace, man.
Yeah, man.
It sucks that he's not with us anymore, but he's gonna be with the best of them in drum heaven.
Yeah.
Or drum hell, whichever he prefers.
Yeah, who knows? But I feel like he was kind of disrespected by a lot of like metal fans when he first came out, because they said he was sloppy. But I mean, to me it's just he sounds like a human. But he sounds like a maniac.
Well, even more than that, he just sounds like an animal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he sounds feral.
Feral is the perfect word for it. He sounds like out of control. He sounds like untamed.
It's like even if they tried to slow him down, they couldn't hold him.
Yeah, man.
And so back to Sick. I love Corey's vocals as well.
Yeah.
Like, fuck this shit, I'm sick of it, this is a war.
The fuck it's this shit. Or like, what was it? Like, I'm already inside you. What is he saying? Like, you...
Yeah, I'm already inside you.
Jesus, man.
And then he gets his little moment where he just gets to scream one word, which he loves doing.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, sick! And he making all these, like, noises like you would hear a crazy person make.
Like,
yeah, sick.
Just manic, dude. The whole song is manic.
Yes, and it's always gonna be it's probably always gonna be my favorite track on the record.
Damn. Well, that's a great start for you. Track number fucking 1.
Track number 1, baby.
Number 2, technically. Whatever.
My second nug is rough, because just depending on what mood I'm in, I could see it changing very easily.
Right.
Like for I was kind of thinking Eeyore for a little bit, even though this is kind of like a weird last
It's a good one though.
song, but it's just like so punk and intense.
Yeah. Very thrashy.
And like hardcore thrashy. The bridge to Liberate is one of my favorite moments on this record, where they're just like hitting the drums and they get in this weird different rhythm than the rest of the song. Like Surfacing. I love that chorus, but I think today I'm gonna have to go with Spit It Out.
Man, it's a classic.
It's a classic. I mean, I'm a person who had never listened to anything from this record until a month ago, really.
Wow. Yeah, you were
So
5 years old
it's
when this
all-
came out? 4?
What a year to come out? 99?
99.
4?
Dude.
If it was past July.
I think it was September of 99. That's
Yep.
wow, that's crazy. You're 4 when this came out. I mean, yeah, when would you have heard this, you know?
Yeah, exactly. When I was growing up, Slipknot had gotten into their next era of being on the radio and stuff, and
Yeah.
getting Grammys and all that.
Was your dad listening to them?
Oh no,
Is
he
this too
doesn't.
much for him?
He does not listen to this stuff.
Okay, because he's a rock guy, so I was wondering.
Yeah, he's a rock guy, but the hardest he goes is like, I don't know, Cream or something.
No, he likes Linkin Park.
Yeah, I guess Linkin Park is like the most hardcore he's into.
They got screams. They got
But
wicky-woos.
Lily introduced this album to me,
Oh, okay.
and I had never heard any of these songs before, so I didn't have like this was the radio hit or this was
wow.
overplayed or anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I love the chorus to this one. Spread it out. All you want to do is hand me down. All I want to do is wash you out.
Yeah.
And then there's that weird part like right in the middle of the song where it's kind of this weird percussion thing in a filter.
Yep.
And then Joey comes in with some kind of beat. I don't know what kind of beat it is.
I love those wobbles. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah.
Whoop. Like, what is that? It's very trippy.
Oh, and then in verse 2, the DJ comes in with all his stuff, with all his wicky-woos, which I adore.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of wicky-woos on this one.
And I thought it was super cool that he waited till the second verse to come in with those. It really like brought a lot to that part of the song. And just the way the song starts is super weird. Like, I don't know what is that a filtered bass or something? Like, I have no idea what that noise is.
I think it's just a sample the DJ's doing. It almost sounds like
Could be.
someone on a talk box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be that. And then fuck me, I'm all out of enemies. Fuck me, I'm all out of enemies.
Yeah. Such
And then he goes
great
into the
lines.
chorus one last time. Super cool.
Yeah, this song is crazy that this was a single because it's so insane.
Well, you could say that about any song. I would say this is one of the more accessible songs on the album.
Oddly enough,
Right?
you're right.
But yeah, I love the kegs they have, especially
Yeah.
near the end.
All the auxiliary percussion on this one is awesome.
Oh yeah, and yeah, that's my second nuggie.
Man, I mean, there are a lot of good songs, but I'll disagree with you that you said there's no bad songs. For me, there were some bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like bad for me. Songs I didn't like.
Well, sure.
Tattered and Torn. I didn't like.
Yeah, that was a little. I feel like that was one of their more kind of experimental tracks.
It was more like an interlude than anything else, I feel like.
It was something they were kind of just trying out.
Yeah. Liberate, I wasn't a big fan of.
No?
No. I just don't like the rap metal stuff. Like the ones that are more rap metal on this album, like I kind of don't like their brand of rap metal. Sorry, Brett, okay? I'd rather
Mr.
listen to
New
Limp
Metal
Bizkit.
over here. I don't like it when they rap and the guitars go fast.
I don't like it when Corey raps, is what I'm saying. I love me a Fred Durst. I love me a Jonathan Davis. I don't like me a Corey Taylor rapping, all right? He does things a lot better than that.
Don't like you a Taylor. That's fine.
I don't like me a Taylor. I'm not a big fan of CMFT. But I also like No Life, just the rapping that he does in it, I don't like. But the bridge I love in No Life. And I would say like, I don't know, Scissors. I didn't like.
Really, you didn't like Scissors?
I thought it was the least focused of any song on the record.
It's also the longest one.
It's like 8.5 minutes.
It is. It does seem like kind of maybe a melding of a couple ideas they had.
Right. They were like, let's just put this all together. It was the one that was written by Joey. He wrote the lyrics.
Yeah, I didn't know that anyone else had written lyrics.
Me neither. And I don't like the lyrics.
Well,
the part I like the most of it is at the end. It sounds like someone's coughing, but it's actually one of the percussionists puking.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, because the band was watching a scat porn video.
Why?
Because they're Slipknot, and that's the audio of one of the guys in the band throwing up from the movie.
I mean, I would too.
But it's I thought it was really clever to use it because it sounds like Corey coughing, like choking, because of the way that he's screaming at the end of the song, or almost kind of crying at the end of the song, and then they have this weird audio clip, and it sounds like someone's coughing and choking, and it's just one of the guys puking from a scat porn.
Yeah.
And then it ends. I love that the album ends with "Take That, Motherfuckers."
Yeah. It's like the perfect and that was it, baby, and you just got served.
Yeah, like deal with what you just listened to. Like take that.
But I kind of like how scattered Scissors was and how disjointed it was, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, I'm sure there's like a 50-50. Either you love it or hate it.
Right.
You know, that one's a very weird song. I mean, despite it being 9 minutes, that's a love or hate thing already.
Yeah.
And then a 9 minutes that goes a lot of different places. The lyrics don't really necessarily work with the cadence that he's singing in sometimes. So there are some weird disjointed lines, and some lines go longer than I feel like they should. Sometimes he's trying to squeeze more lyrics into a line because that's what Joey wrote, so
Right.
But yeah, anyway, I would say that there's probably 4 songs that I don't like, that I'm just going to skip, that I'm not going to want to listen to anymore. And all the other ones I fucking love.
Yeah, I feel like I'll definitely listen to this album all the way through again, but my viewings with this album will consist mainly of picking out 2 or 3 favorites in the moment that I'm in the mood to hear.
Yeah, I think same here. I mean, like you said, this fits such a specific vibe that it's going to be hard not to listen to it when I'm in that mood, which I hope is never, to be honest, as much as I enjoy this music.
Yeah, it's not a great mood to be in.
Yeah. I mean, with that said, I think my rating for this is going to be a combination of how much I enjoyed the songs that I really did like and how much respect I had for Slipknot in general. And so my rating is going to be a 7.2.
Okay.
Because I really love a lot of the tracks on here. I dislike a handful, but I just know how much influence these guys have had on metal since they came out into the scene, and how many people are doing what Slipknot did. Hearing how much it's influenced people, I mean, these guys are legends at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I'm gonna be in the. I'm probably gonna go like 7.6 or 7.5.
Okay, I thought you were gonna be much higher than me.
No, I mean, again, I really don't listen to metal too often, but if I'm ever in the mood for it, this will probably be the first album I go to. And there are definitely some songs on here that I'll listen to independently regardless of my mood.
Right.
Just because of how cool the songs are.
Dude. Surfacing, you can listen to anytime.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'm super... I'm into this.
I'm really surprised, man, because like you said, you're not a big metalhead, and this, for someone who's not a metalhead to like this record, is kind of a big deal.
Well, I mean, I'm not a metalhead, but I am a very angry person that likes chaotic music.
It's true.
To an extent. So it kind of fits perfectly in with what I'm into. Like the Mars Volta, I love because of how chaotic it can be at times.
and weirdly catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird to think that some of these songs are catchy. It's just like so counterintuitive.
But I really wish they would incorporate the DJ more, wicky-woos or not. I wish
You're the only one that wishes that.
Yeah, okay, whatever, dude.
It's true.
I wish the percussionists were more present throughout the album. If they were, it's hard to tell because I didn't know if it was really the percussionist playing some toms or drums or something, or Joey playing something.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those deep, tribal, punchy drums that we're hearing are all the auxiliary percussions.
Right. And Corey's vocals are fantastic. I do wish he kind of used his clean voice more often.
Me too, man.
Honestly, because 90% of the album was his screaming, and there would be moments when he would kind of go into his clean voice, but not for very long. And now we've gotten too much clean voice on our newer stuff, and so a nice space in between would be perfect.
I feel like that's what Subliminal Verses was. But you are a hater.
maybe I'll give it another chance. All right,
I think you should.
Okay, I can't listen to these first two albums for like a month, and then I can listen to Subliminal Verses.
Yeah, you gotta detox.
Yeah,
you gotta detox and then retox.
I'm just gonna listen to some like smooth jazz or something for the next month.
Hall & Oates for 1 month straight. Nothing but Maneater for a month.
Yeah, that's it. Just it's a Maneater.
I mean, that's a great song. We should do a Hall & Oates record.
I've never really gotten into them. I'd be down.
I'd be down too, honestly.
I'd be down to try it out. But speaking of which, did you have an album that you had ready for next week?
Man, I did. And now I'm forgetting it. So let me look this up. Let me go.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up real quick.
Let me reference the list.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's interesting. A 7.2 and a 7.6. I definitely thought you were going to rate this higher than 7.6. After our conversation,
when I'm in the right mood.
Yeah.
When I'm in the right mood, it will definitely be a higher score.
Okay, because before we talked, I was like, Brett is going to hate this. And then after talking to you, I thought, okay, he actually might. He's going to give this like a 9.
It could just be because the drums were front and center, and I've noticed that any bands that have drums at the forefront, I just instinctually like without my consent. Like Mute Math and Mars Volta and maybe not Rush.
RX Bandits.
Like RX Bandits.
Woo,
yeah.
Baby.
Yeah.
Well, I think, Brett, it's about time we do this. It's about time we talk about this guy.
Oh, yeah?
He is a icon.
I already know who you're talking about. I already know who you're talking about.
He is.
You're doing Sturgill Simpson?
Ooh, close. Very close.
Dang.
He is a fashion icon. He is a food influencer to me. He is a guy that I wish I had all of his tastes, and I wish I had all of his eye for aesthetic. And he's my favorite rapper of all time.
Ooh.
We're talking about
an
Ariane Aslani, a.k.a. Action Bronson.
No.
Bam Bam Baklava.
I don't want to do that. I want to do an alternative acid album next.
Yeah, well,
so
I'm the only one that gets to request. So we're doing White Bronco, specifically the album White Bronco by Mr. Action Bronson.
Yeah, I have Mr. Wonderful on my list.
I saw that. I'm excited to talk about that one too. But yeah, man, White Bronco. This is the one that really solidified him as my favorite rapper. And really, really excited to talk about him. It's been too long. I mean, he was one of the guys that I was thinking about when we first came up with the idea for this podcast.
I mean, the amount of respect you have for that dude and the amount of time you talk about him and ingest his media, it is kind of crazy that we've gone so many. It's been like 9 months.
Yeah.
That we've been doing this podcast, right? We gone 9 months without even touching an Action Bronson album.
I mean,
it's kind of crazy.
You know how much this dude has influenced me in my life, so it is crazy that he has not come up yet. So yeah, man. Next episode, a White Bronco.
We got the Bronco himself. We got the big old tortellini.
That's right.
We got what was? Do you remember what I called him in our D&D campaign? El Blanco Bronco.
Yeah, the Blanco Bronco
was like the guild that he belonged to.
Yeah, he was my mortal enemy in D&D, and man, I still think about the moment that hit me. That you were
because I just called him by his name.
Yeah, you had been setting this dude up for weeks in our campaign, and I did not pick up on any of the clues that you were putting out there. And when I finally, I knew Bronco for 2-3 weeks before you said his name, and dude, that made me so happy. I genuinely felt special at that moment, and it was one of the moments that I was just like, Brett fucking knows me. This dude knows me, and I was just like, we just became best friends.
Well, because you were like, yeah, my character's wife was killed by someone, and you basically gave me the reins to figure out who it was, and so I'm like, well, I'm gonna make Action Bronson like a mafia boss.
Yeah.
And he's gonna run a spaghetti shop or something,
so
and y'all are gonna have to infiltrate it.
So perfect. Anyway, man. So Action Bronson is coming up next. Brett, what would you rate this episode?
You know what? I'm gonna rate this episode in the high 7.6s.
I think I'm right there. I think I'm gonna do a 7.666.
Oh, one of those again.
One of those. I mean, we got an open scoring system, free for all.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the shock value of the .666 has kind of lost its touch.
I'm sticking with it.
That's Lucas, loyal till you drop.
That's right. I ride jokes until they die.
Yes.
And on that
most
note,
people would, yeah.
Most people would just give up when people stop laughing. I don't. And on that note, thanks for listening, buddies. You can catch us every Friday. We're going to continue doing these live streams as long as we can figure it out and get them going. Last week, obviously this is completely out of chronological order, but we recently listened to Little Sims, her new record, really cool. We listened to Turnstile's new record, also very cool. This Friday, we don't know what we're going to be talking about, but catch us every Friday at 7 p.m. Central on
there we go.
twitch.tv/earbuds podcast. You can catch us. You can see our Instagram at EBPcast. Me and Brett on Instagram at Brett Hanrahan and at Jean-Luc Guitard, spelled in the weirdest possible ways. And
don't even try.
Don't even try it, really, honestly. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, Brett.
This was good.
This was good.
Lucas.
Oh, yeah, this was good. And a 3, and a 2, and a 1.